control. Man, that looks great.
Jets! 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 Woo!
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. 78 degrees, Jets football, and we're winning. That's what's going on today. That's why everybody's so psyched. This isn't no happenstance. This is a guarantee, just like Joe Namath said. See that?
There are few things in life you cannot put a price on. Loyalty, tradition, fierce passion. Today is a gigantic family reunion because finally, they're back.
Well, good morning, Jets fans. Here we are again. This is the first Good Morning Jets morning live stream since the 2022 season is over. Boy, oh boy, are we sad. It's been a disappointing one. It was very exciting. Very exciting. We had more fun this year than we've been allowed to have in a long time. Unless you really enjoyed the rooting for 0-16, 2019, that was fun too. Or 2020, that was fun too, if you spun it the right way. But as far as actual football games, feeling like you had a reason to be proud, a reason to root, hope, this was about as good as it's been for a long time. Again, I'm a 50-year-old man these days, and the last time I got to root for real was I was 33. So it's been a minute. Good morning, everybody. You know, look, we're going to do what we do best now. Now we go into where we are the off-season champs, right? We know we rule the off-season. Very few teams really compare with what we put together. Very, very exciting. And as fans, you could even see it during the season. I mean, we were having a hard time resisting the urge to do mocks, to talk about prospects and all that. I'm very, very proud of myself because I resisted that urge. I was good. I didn't look. I caught a tiny bit of defensive tackles I looked at. But other than that, I did well. So now we're going to go into mock season. We're going to go into free agent season. Speculation season, rumor season. Now, the trick this year, I tell you guys this every year we try this. We don't buy into every rumor, okay? They're putting things out specifically to get clicks, and in many instances, just to get us upset, to get the Jets fan base fired up. So we start freaking out, we attack, we do all the things that we do. The trick is going to be not buying into the rumors. There was a really good example last year where we heard that Berrios is going to ask for $9 million per year. Now, obviously, for a fourth, fifth wide receiver and return man, that's a lot of money. So Jets fans didn't believe that we should pay him that much. And we went nuts. Berrios, it's rumored Berrios could ask for $9 million. Well, when we dug into that rumor, which I did with my very, very honed detective skill set, we found that all it was Rich Cimini. He was down there at the Senior Bowl, and he was chit-chatting with some people. He talked to an agent. It could have been an agent for a WNBA player. We have no idea. It's just I talked to an agent who said Berrios could ask for as much as $9 million. That's all it was. It was a conversation. It's like me and my buddy Harry here, right? Here's Harry. Good morning, Harry. We got to find out about that brisket. Harry spent 18 hours making himself a nice brisket, and he left our beanbagger post-game stream to go have it. I got to know, Harry. But it's like Harry and I chit-chatting about, hey, man, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? You know what I think? It'd be crazy, but I think this could happen. And then I go make a report about it and then put it out there. And then everybody uses that tweet or article or whatever it is. Everybody uses it as the source. You see what I mean? And all it was me and Harry shooting the breeze, man. So we got to be careful. It happens every year. And I'll point it out. We'll see how it goes. But good morning, Harry, Phil, Duncan's here. I saw Big Green started us off. Merweed's in the house. Duncan Lloyd. Yeah, man. Hank is in the house. Look at this guy. Good morning to you. Missouri Jets fan. Willie D. Look at that. It'd be nice to get a reliant. Yes, indeed. And we'll talk about that today. Joey G. I like how you did that. It confuses me a little bit. Says, I watched JD and Robert Saleh postseason interview yesterday. It sounds like they're safe. Of course they're safe. Everything coming out, Joey, everything. And I tried to say this. No, I don't know. I could be wrong, but my spidey senses weren't up. It's like, you can feel this stuff a lot of the time. Sometimes you get surprised. There's no way. There's just no way that Joe Douglas or Robert Saleh are getting fired. Dude, they took the 31st defense and they made it top 5. Or Joe Douglas is arguably or potentially, let's say, going to have offensive and defensive rookies of the year. You know what I mean? And then you look at all throughout the rest of his draft classes. And I mean, look how we got those draft classes with the trades and everything. I mean, dude, the guy, he misses sometimes, but if it wasn't for injuries to the offensive line, and quite frankly, if he just hit on that damn quarterback, he missed on that one, it looks like, everybody. We'll see. We'll see. They're talking up, Zach. But yeah, I never felt for a split second. Now, Calabrese and LaFleur, there's a little bit less stability there. But again, I don't think they're going to do that either, man. It's like it's not time to uproot it. And it's time to maybe add, right? They're learning. So, but yeah, I think they're safe for sure. New York Jets super fan is here. What's up? He loves Kubiak. And I heard a few people talking about Kubiak. I think that'd be a really good ad. It all depends on how they mesh, though. You don't want somebody in here who has a completely different system and different, different way about them. Like, remember a couple years ago when the Cleveland Browns fired, what's his name? I can never remember the guy's name, man. The coach, and they put Greg Williams as he was a defensive coordinator. He was the interim head coach. And then the following year, they decided to promote offensive coordinator who was only a quarterback coach before that. Half the season, he was an offensive coordinator. They made him the head coach, Freddie Kitchens. And they hired Monken as an offensive coordinator. Well, Freddie Kitchens being a first-time everything, he's got, he's low self-esteem. He's got to make sure that people know he's the boss. So Monken and Kitchens started headbutting in training camp. And you can't have that. You just can't have that, man. You bring somebody in, it's all great and name, but you can't have somebody come in that's going to be counter what you're trying to accomplish. You want somebody who's going to be able to add, refine what we're trying to do. So we'll see, though. But Kubiak is a good name. I see New York Jets film studies here. Yeah, man. I know. So close for better. We are close, guys. We are. There he is. Greenhouse on Facebook himself, Matthias Simon. So let's talk about this. I see Rev Lovolution now, or Relovolution. I like that. Rodgers or bust. So there's a poll question in the chat, guys. And it's just asked, which one of those guys would you like? I mean, we have Derek Carr in there. We have Ryan Tannehill, which is a name that's kind of been coming up the last few days, at least on my end over here. People have been bringing up Ryan Tannehill. And we have Aaron Rodgers. It would take a lot to get it done, but there's no reason why they can't if they want to. So who else is in that list? Tannehill, Carr, Rodgers, and I don't know. Somebody else. I can't even remember. So look, we're going to start this, right? We have a few things. Now, like was said, we got to see some pressers, right? We got to see some pressers with our team, the coaches and the players. They all left the facility. So we got to see what they think. Now, Joe Douglas, by the way, guys, is exceptional as far as giving you a nice long answer and telling you nothing. He's good at that. He is. He tells you nothing. That said, he told us a few things this time around. Now, one of the things that he mentioned was they asked him about Zach starting. And this is an interesting thing. We've seen some of this the last 2 years. And we've seen it a lot from Robert Saleh, that is, right? From head coach Robert Saleh. We've seen him say, that's a Joe question. Well, what do you think you're going to bring in this game? That's a Joe question. It's not my area, and I'm going to turn it over to Joe. You ask him those questions. Well, Joe Douglas has done the same thing, but he did it in a big way this time. They asked him, you guys are committing to, to Zach Wilson, because they both said that they were. We're trying to get him. The tagline they're using is we're going to help him reach his potential, right? The top of his potential, or however they're saying it. So they said, well, look, you're going to bring in another quarterback. What are you going to, is Zach going to start or what? And he said, that's a Robert question. As far as what Zach does when he's here, like, I'm keeping him. What Zach's going to do as far as playing, that's Robert Saleh. And you want to hear those types of things. Like a lot of the time, there can be some bleed. General managers and coaches. You can see head coaches steamrolling coordinators, and then in our instance, you see that our biggest concern is that the owner is going to come in and steamroll, overrule the guys that we have in place to do certain things now, namely Joe Douglas, right? And then his crew, Phil Savage, Chad Alexander, and Rex Hogan, and the rest. So you want to see, obviously they all want to have input. You want to have great communication, but you really do want to see a staff that lets the people that are in certain positions do what they're here to do. Now, if they're struggling, yes. If they need help, yes. If, of course you're going to communicate, but just going in there and saying this guy is going to start when the coach doesn't want that. If that's happening, then it's going to erode more times than not. It's especially when you're a newer org, right? Like this was only their second year together as a collective. So you want to see these types of answers from Joe Douglas. Now, again, we don't know if it's really happening, but it seems like it does. The one thing I will say about these guys, and that goes for Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas, they do seem to be genuine on that front. Now, they're never going to tell us exactly what they're doing, and people have said Joe Douglas is a stone-faced liar. He lies. He told us this and he did that. Well, he has to do that. You know what I mean? It's not a liar. If the general manager says, hey, the goal is for Jamal Adams to be a Jet for life, he's a stud. The goal is for Jamal Adams to be a Jet for life. And then he trades him. You say, what the hell happened? Why'd you lie to me? Well, he's got to do things a certain way to maximize value. We can't just let everybody know what's going on. You got, it's like you got to think about it like that. He needs to keep things under wraps so they can have a plan, right? Like, why do they not let the media into every practice when they're installing and everything? Because they don't want everybody to know what the hell's going on. So, of course, he's going to do that. But as far as when they defer to one another and all that sort of, am I freeze beaning? No, that's you, Jerry the Jet. I'm good today, buddy. I'm rocking. Let me make sure. Am I freeze beating? That would not be fun. Let me see here. So let's talk real quick. I want to show you just a brief clip of Joe Douglas. Or are you just using the freeze bean? Oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you, Jerry. Jerry the Jet, who is a stream beaner. And if you want to join the stream beaners and get access to the emojis and everything, and the free super chat that will be coming, I think it just gives it to you. I don't know exactly how that happens. We'll learn together. But Jerry Jet is a stream beaner, and he gets access to some fun emojis, man. And one of them is the updated freeze bean, with a little bean with all the icicles on me and everything. So if you want to do that, you can hit the join button. It is greatly appreciated, guys, if you help support the channel. And in addition to that, I'm really hoping that it can add to the fun of our live streams. Again, I didn't know, but YouTube limits how many emojis you can have until you get a certain amount of members. So I'm only allowed, I think it's 8 emojis right now. I need 2 more subscribers or members before I can add some more. I have them all made. I didn't know. I went out and made them all. Ryan made me some. I went to Fiverr and got some made and everything. I made one. But anyway, so that's the way that is. But let's take a look at this this press conference answer from Joe Douglas. It's interesting. He's talking about the offensive line here, and you can really see, in my opinion, you can see some angst. And he's right. In my opinion, he's right about this. And let's see how it goes. Let me make sure you guys can hear it. And let me go and hit the play button now. Let me make it a lot bigger here. Let's see. Okay. And here we go. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on a second. It's confusing for me. Yeah, that's the right one, right? Nope, this is the wrong one. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right. I did it. I got too many pages open. Okay, we're going to hit play now. You ready?
I guess what my big point is, it was hard to find a level of consistency and stability within that group this year. And despite all of the change up front, I really felt like we were in a good place after that first Buffalo game. If you guys remember that fourth quarter drive, our last offensive drive, I think it was a 6-minute drive. We were running the ball really well. Felt like we had really gotten over the hump, and we were playing with a banged up unit with backups, and we felt like we were, we maybe gotten over that hump. But again, there's obviously more changes and less stability. So ultimately, I think in an ideal scenario, you've got your starting five, and all of them are playing together all year. Maybe that's not realistic, but that's going to be the goal moving forward, is trying to find 5 guys that can play together all year.
So imagine that. Now, what he's talking about there, he went through the injuries just before that. And it was long. That's why I didn't include it. But just before that, he went into the start. The beginning, what we had. He said we had George, we had Lakin, we had Connor, and we had AVT, and we had Mackay. That was our line. Mackay goes down. We sign Dwayne. He goes down. Then we start Fant. A couple weeks, he goes down. Max Mitchell comes in. He goes down. You go and you sign Cedric Abuye and Remmers, and then Cedric Abuye plays a couple weeks, and he goes down. Obviously, the ABT thing, he's bouncing around. Then he goes down. Now Nate Herbig's in. Then a couple weeks later, Nate Herbig goes down. We got to start Feeney for a game. Like, do you see it? So what he's talking about there, it's not rocket science, of course. But what type of an impact does that have on the team? Even if we're not like, top O-line in the league, what if we're just healthy? Could you imagine? Now I see it. There's a comment in here, and I'll try to get it up. I lost it. Where is it? It basically, you said what quarterback would want to come here with no O-line? I forget. I lost it, man. So forgive me, whoever you were that put that in there. Yeah, sorry, I just can't find it. Oh, there you go, Derpy. I see it. So the whole thing with the offensive line, it's like, number one, we have guys. Like, you have AVT. If that guy's starting, he's potentially all pro level. We saw it. And now, where do you want him? You want him at right guard? You want him at left guard? Do you put him at left tackle and just say, hey man, he's about as good of a left tackle as we're going to find. And you can more easily, at least from some perspectives, more easily fill that guard spot than it is to find that premier left tackle. Maybe they go that route. But either way, if AVT's playing, man, and he played pretty much the whole year before that, he was out the last week or whatever it was in his rookie year. But and then Mekhi Becton, you can't depend on Mekhi Becton, but he's losing a bunch of weight. He was one of the interviews, and I think he finally got it through his head, like, okay, you're a big dude, you're a big guy. And nobody's saying that you're going to be small, but dude, you have to put more focus on being below a certain weight. Maybe the goal weight is 350 instead of 367. He got up to 380 or whatever it was. They said 400, but that was hearsay. But let's say he's up at 370, right? If he can lose 20 pounds, 25 pounds from that weight, we drafted him at 367. We get him down to 350-ish, 345. What impact does that have on his knee? This ability to hold that body up through the athleticism that he has to employ in order to be effective, right? So you have these guys already on the team. Dwayne Brown, he's under contract. In my opinion, you got to upgrade that. But a quarterback's not going to know what you have in the offensive line because the draft is after free agency, right? You have to go ahead and you have to sign. The quarterback has to sign without knowing. Now, obviously, you're going to tell him a plan, but that's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting thing. I think where the positive comes in with this, trying to get a vet quarterback in here, is that when you look around, our quarterbacks were unable to really utilize the talent. The only one who was utilized consistently was Garrett Wilson, thankfully, because boy, oh boy, did we get to see that kid, and he's fantastic. But when you see that stuff, when you look around and you go, all right, they have Garrett Wilson, they have Elijah Moore, they have Breece Hall, they got Michael Carter, they got Bam Knight, they got the tight ends. You know what I mean? They had their spottiness. They were ups and downs, but the truth is we have good tight ends. Ruckert, who got to play in his last game, Ruckert's going to be a stud, man. Now, when you look around the team, this is a loaded team, at least foundationally. There are some real legit weapons here. And again, when you do go in the draft, you add, the offensive lineman, you add a left tackle, a guard. And in my opinion, you should be drafting at least 2. That's my opinion. At least I wouldn't even be upset. They have 6 picks this year. I wouldn't even be upset if you went with 3. Half of them offensive, go tackle, go guard, go center. Bring them in, dude. Have them in here. Max Mitchell going into his second year. But it's going to be really interesting to see how we are able to do that. What quarterback can we get? Because I'm going to tell you right now, guys, everything going on with all these comments towards Zach and his potential, great. And I believe that they mean it. But I'm going to tell you right now, there is no way they are going into this season thinking Zach Wilson is their starter. Not happening. If anybody's getting nervous about that, I see that. People are like, oh, my God, what do they mean? Are they really? They're not. They're not going into this season with Zach Wilson as the penciled-in starter. We heard Zach Wilson in his interview. It was Cimini who gives him this question. He says, well, they could say all they want. They could say, we support you. We want you here. But if they bring in a vet, he's going to be starting over you. So how does that make you feel? And Zach Wilson said, well, I'm going to make it hell for the guy. Now, he said in a positive way. He's not going to fucking slash his tires and all that kind of stuff. But he said, I'm going to make it very difficult because I'm going to be working my ass off to try to be the starter. And, competition and everything. But look, he can say that all he wants. Do you guys remember, all my old heads in here, do you remember we had Kenny O'Brien, right? He was at the end of his career. We drafted Browning Nagel. Right now, Browning Nagel comes out, shot out of a cannon. Looks really good. And he fizzles very, very quickly. He looks like shit. But he's our starting quarterback. Big, strong kid, strong arm. He had everything you want, but he just wasn't very good. So they go ahead in the first ever free agent period in 1992. The Jets go out there and they grab Boomer Esiason, one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL at the time. He's recently been in the Super Bowl with the Bengals, right? So he comes over here and they interview Browning Nagel. It's probably Cimini too then. He said, well, how do you feel about this? They went out and they brought in a quarterback, a premier quarterback at that. And what did Browning Nagel say? He said, well, I don't know. I find it interesting that they would go through all that trouble to bring in my backup. Right? To bring in my backup. Hey, man, fantastic answer. Glad you feel that way. But there's no way in hell outside of injury that you're starting over Boomer Esiason. It doesn't even matter. Boomer Esiason could look like complete dog turds in camp. He's starting. There's just no way. You see it? So now the sad part about that was Kenny O'Brien was still on the team when they brought on Boomer Esiason, and they did the whole press thing with him holding the number 7, and that was Kenny O's number, and they kind of did him dirty, in my opinion. So anyway, that aside, I have feelings on that one. I gotta work on that. But I mean, look, Zach's gonna say what he says, and they're gonna say what they say about Zach. I think it's right. I think it's right that that they go that way. They have to say it like that. But, dude, what are you going to do? What are you going to, what do you want them to say? No, dude, Zach was garbage. The one thing that they did say, Joe Douglas said, as did Robert Saleh, they have work to do on the quarterback position. They have work to do. Right, and they're going to. Now, let's get to Maniac Matt here. So, Jets Maniac Matt, morning to all fellow Jets brethren. Who's coming in to become a quarterback coach? Do you think Mike LaFleur is going to take the fall for the collapse? JETS. So here's what I think. I've said it all week. And again, I reserve the right to be wrong. If I'm wrong, I will own it. But I do not see Mike LaFleur getting fired. I also, while I think it's more possible, I don't see Rob Calabrese getting fired either. He's a young guy. He's an up-and-coming coach, and they like him. Don't forget, in the Senior Bowl, they gave him the offensive coordinator position under Middleton, who was the head coach, and he ran a great, he ran LaFleur's offense, but he ran a great game, and he's got a lot of potential. All right, he's got a lot of potential. Now, they gave him a heavy-duty job, and he didn't do well. So they definitely need to bring somebody in. Now, I don't know to what degree they're going to bring him in. Like, do they take play calling? Is it a Kubiak? Just as an example, is it a Kubiak? Does Kubiak come in and to be a part of this squad, this offensive, group? Does he come in to do that? Now, does he take play calling from LaFleur? Does he? I don't know. Is he just kind of a glorified quarterback coach? Does he have the Greg Knapp role, the Matt Cavanaugh role of kind of running the on the field offense? LaFleur's up in the booth and Cavanaugh was on the ground and he was kind of managing everything down there. Does he do that? Is he the passing game coordinator, assistant head coach / passing game coordinator, which is what Greg Knapp was? Is he working with the players on a more specific and intimate basis, particularly the quarterback? I don't know. And we have to see. But as far as LaFleur getting fired, I didn't think he was for a second. I get it. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't think think that he is. Now, let me explain this to you guys too. This is going to be interesting. The first year, people, I've had this thrown at me this week a few times. Stop bringing up Greg Knapp. It's like, well, why? Why would you stop bringing up Greg Knapp? You got to remember how they constructed this team, this coaching staff. They constructed it in a very specific way. They had hotshot, like young, up-and-coming offensive minds, and then they had the vets. Greg Knapp and John Benton were the vets. Okay, John Benton's the offensive line coach. Greg Knapp was the passing game coordinator. He was also going to function in a kind of a quarterback molding position. So he passes away tragically. The first thing they did, they waited a month out of respect. You don't want to just go out there. He's not even in the ground yet, and you're filling his position. So I think they handled that properly from my perspective. So they did that. But they brought in Cavanaugh a month later, and he's got to jive with the team. He's got to get into the whole thing, and it was okay. I think he helped a lot. But at the end of the season, they decided to do something, and this is the wording that they used. We wanted to get less voices in the room. So what does that mean? From me, and don't forget, we also brought in John Beck, who is Zach's specific personal quarterback coach. So what I'm hearing when I see a comment like that is they didn't jive, right? Matt Cavanaugh and Mike LaFleur and Calabrese, they didn't mesh well. So there was some bumping heads. Why do you want to remove a voice if the voice is in unison with yours? Why? So they took a shot. So they had Greg Knapp, he passes away. They've backfilled that position with Matt Cavanaugh, and they don't love the relationship, it sounds like. Okay. Matt Cavanaugh goes, John Beck goes, and they think, all right, well, LaFleur and Calabrese have a year under their belt now. Let's give it to them. Now, that didn't work. Okay. I think there's a lot to be said for learning what Zach is and all that kind of, so there's some positives that are wrapped in negatives you can apply, but I think overall it didn't work. Right? LaFleur up in the booth and Calabrese being really the only guy on the ground with the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. Obviously there's the positional coaches and stuff, but kind of running the offense and developing the quarterbacks, it didn't work. So you did it one way, tragic. If Greg Knapp was here, I don't think we're talking about all this stuff. Remember Peyton Manning, Steve Young, they were like, oh my God, Greg Knapp's the guy. Zach's in the best possible hands. But here we are. So they did it the one way. It wasn't what they wanted. They did it the next way and it didn't work. So now they're going to go out there and they're going to get the guy. And this is why I don't think it's appropriate to just fire people all the time. Like, let them learn. Dude, they're rooks. They're new. They're noobs. You got to let them go through their process. Now, not 10 years if they're garbage. Like, let's say Robert Saleh and crew, they come out this year in 2023 and they're 0-14, 1-13, something like that. Dude, they're garbage. Okay. If they can't build on this, and Robert Saleh, don't forget, was given 5 first-round picks in 2 years and essentially 7 because Breece Hall and Elijah Moore were like the first 5 picks of the second round. So he's essentially gotten 7 first-round pick talents in his first 2 years coaching. If he's going into his 3rd year and he can't figure out how to win, then it's him. Do you see what I mean? But you got to give this to them. Let them bring the guy in and let them start to grow off what they've built, learn from the mistakes that you have to earn. You have to own it. Like Joe Douglas said another thing. He said, we're going to have some hard discussions. We're going to have some hard discussions here because they got to be honest with themselves. You can't like softly, sugarcoat stuff. You got to go, no, dude, here you failed. This didn't work. You really wanted this. It's garbage. Like, you have to have those discussions. You have to. And if you do, then I think we're going to be okay. But again, I didn't think LaFleur was going to get. Maybe they do today. I don't know. It's still early, right? It's only Tuesday. They call it Black Monday. We saw Kingsbury. We obviously saw the Denver Broncos coach getting fired. Who else got fired? I don't even know who else got fired, if anybody does. But anyway, Dom C's in the house. What's up, Dom? I want to let you guys know. Maybe I'll let them know. Dom C for GreenBean Sports is going to be our coverage guy, our press guy down there at the Senior Bowl this year. We're working on to see if little GreenBean can go down there as well. But Dom is the GreenBean Jetsfan sports agency. He's our press on the ground at the Senior Bowl. I'm very, very excited for him. It's going to be really, really cool to see what we can bring out of that. It's going to be great, man. I'm really excited. So Dom C is going to be at the Senior Bowl with press passes and everything. John Holton, good morning. Good morning to you. Let's see. Matthias says, you need experience in that room. The fool needs a babysitter. Babysitter. I don't know. I don't know about babysitter, but I do agree that they need somebody in there. I don't think that he really can do it all. He's not that he can't do it all. He can't. He doesn't know. He's not able. He's not capable of doing everything. Like as far as designing and calling the plays, the game, worrying about the quarterback, subbing, those kinds of things. I just don't think he's got that. The development and everything, he doesn't have it. So now, in the event that they do bring somebody in, it's going to be interesting to see what role and to what capacity they have impact. They have input even. So let's see. Everybody, yep. Phil Adams with the respectful reminder to the chat. If you're here and you're having a good morning with us, go ahead, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, by all means, consider doing that now. Dude, we're like 68 away, 65 away from 10,000. It's January 10th. We're going to get it. We're going to do it before the end of the month of January, man. We're going to get that 10,000, and I so greatly appreciate it. You guys are the best in the world. Let's see. I think Saleh admitted as much in his presser. Well, let's see what else you say. Yeah, I think the whole thing is, guys, is they're learning. That's what we're seeing. Even like with the clock management thing, right? We wanted to kill them, screaming, timeout. What are you doing? And the next game, we saw it. It was in the first half. We saw it, man. He used all 3 timeouts. So we got to let him learn this stuff. That's my opinion anyway. A lot of guys just say they can already see he's garbage. Cut him, get rid of him, pull the Band-Aid off, and let's move on. Again, I think if Sean Payton or somebody like that was like legitimately wanting to come, I think you think about that. But other than that, I don't know. Mr. Green Cup, is that the same Peyton Manning that said we should get Adam Gase? Yeah, it is. Same guy. I know what you're saying there. It's a good point. No touchdowns in 4 games. That's hard to go. That's hard to go, please. That's hard to go, please. It's hard to do. It's hard to do, man. Save the quarterback money this year. Sign White, draft a developmental quarterback. Extend. Well, I don't know, buddy. That's Joe. I have to say I disagree. Our quarterback in Zach, he can't hit screens. He can't hit 7-yard slants. Like, you can't hit him, dude. Like, when you watch the film, man, you guys should all invest in like Game Pass or NFL Plus. You really should. If you're interested, dude, if you just sit down for an hour or so and just watch the tape, like key on players, you'll see it. It's frustrating, man. It's like, wow. Lovey got fired. He got fired too. I wonder what they're going to do, man. I wonder what they're going to do down there. This is the other thing, too. You got to know who you're going to bring in, right? B-Trav? You got to know. It's like we can fire people all day long, but who's there? Who's out there? You got to know. I mean, obviously, there's always talented guys out there. But you got to be able to find them. You got to identify them. And don't forget, man, bringing in if it's a brand new system, like everybody's got to learn it. Does John Benton work well with this new system? Like, there's a lot of variables that you have to consider. John Benton's been teaching this offense for 20-something years. Like, what if you bring in a different offense and it's like he's just, he doesn't know how, he's not good at that. So we got to think about that. It's my opinion. It's my opinion that John Benton did an exceptional job with the offensive line this year. Now, you can maybe put Laken Tomlinson on him. Like, what the hell happened there, buddy? That's your dude. That's your guy. You know damn well John Benton was 100% behind bringing in Laken Tomlinson. He was with him the year before. And they asked him, what do you think? They asked LaFleur and Saleh and particularly John Benton, what do you think? And he said, this is the guy. Pay him $15 million a year, man. So it's going to be interesting to see. Now, let's see what else we got here today. So the players, when they left in their interviews, they were frustrated, of course, but most of them were exceedingly positive. Even guys like Quincy Williams, AVT, Becton, like even those guys, they were really they were giving high praise for the staff, for the direction, and for the young players. AVT talked about the rookies. And then even Quinn Williams, who we'll get to in a second, just as far as it pertains to this, Quinn Williams said, like, I want to be here. I like the way we're going. We came from the depths. I was here through all the hard times. I see the direction. I want to be a part of this. That said, he wants to get paid too. We'll talk about that. But most of the players, as they were leaving the facility in their post-game interviews, were very, very positive, man. Like, obviously they're frustrated and disappointed. And I don't think you could really go through this and not be that way. But I think they all believe. They all believe. Now, one of the interviews I thought was interesting was Garrett Wilson. When he was interviewed, he talked about getting bigger, getting stronger, putting on weight. He even said putting fat on his bones. Now, we saw some success with the nutritionist, Nikki, the nutritionist, the new nutritionist for the Jets. She's going into her second year with us. So last year, we saw her impact on some of the bodies of our players. We saw Denzel Mims. We saw Zach Wilson. They came in. They looked stronger, leaner. Now, Nikki can't get them to throw the ball into the right players' hands and all that kind of shit. But as far as what she does, it looked like she was able to have an impact on the players' bodies. So if Garrett Wilson is trying to get stronger, and the reason he said that is because he wants to be able to make it through the season. He wants to be able to make sure he can make it through the whole season and last. He wants to be able to last. He wants to get stronger, put on some weight. And that was interesting to hear because, I mean, look, Garrett Wilson made it, dude. He played in every game. I think. I don't recall him being injured. He was absolutely electric. I mean, most of the yards that he had, he earned, man. He wasn't getting those bombs like, 50 yards in the air into the end zone, man, which is great too. But a lot of the additional yards that he got, he took a 10-yard pass and made it 28 yards. He took a 15-yard pass and made it 42 yards. So a lot of that is on him. He is incredibly talented. The best wide receiver we've had here in a long time, especially one that we've brought in, not just went out there and found a guy who's already successful. So it's going to be fun to see Garrett Wilson take the necessary steps to have that long career, to make sure that his slight frame doesn't become a hindrance. Now, we've seen that many, many times in the league. They're just, they're guys that just battle injuries and everything. You look at a guy like Robbie Anderson, who his first 2 or 3 years here, a lot of Jets fans, the reason that they didn't like him, or one of the main reasons, I should say, was because of his frame. He's not going to last. He's going to wear down, and he's just so light and so skinny. And dude, he's never injured. I mean, the guy would miss a game here, a game there, but he's one of the guys who lasts the longest. Amazingly, Robbie Anderson has been healthy for the lion's share of his career. Now, Garrett Wilson can be somebody like that, but he's taken the steps now to ensure that. I love to hear it. It's like, look at Devontae Smith. I mean, he was 160 something pounds when he was drafted. You think there's no way this guy's gonna get killed. Nope. So you just don't know. But again, taking the precautionary steps, doing the things that can help ensure that, I think is a really, really great thing to hear him say. Now let's see what else we got. Now or power. As a blue collar guy, you need to get paid for what you believe you're worth. Yeah, dude, Quinnen Williams has done everything. It is my belief that you give Quinnen Williams what he wants. You do not, I mean, look, you're going to negotiate, of course. You're going to try to do things in the best way that you can manage the entirety. It's not all about one guy, of course. That said, do not use this negotiating period and make it into a negative. You can't do it, dude. You got to make it a feel good. You have to. You can't piss Quinnen Williams off and make him feel like, you know what, maybe they don't appreciate me. You know what I mean? Maybe they don't appreciate me the way that I thought and the work that I was putting in. Dude, he wants to get paid before the off-season workouts start. What does that mean? He wants to be shown that he's the priority. That's what he wants. Of course, we're going to need to make quarterback a priority, but as far as the rest of the team, Quinnen Williams should be priority number 1, in my opinion. He's the best player on the defense. He's the most consistent player on the defense. He's a good, positive impact on the defense. He's not a troublemaker. He's not a punk. Like, he's got everything that you want. He's gotten better every single year. And we saw what the defense looks like without him in there. It's a different defense. He's important, man. He's our Aaron Donald. Now, I'm not saying he's Aaron Donald, but he's our version of it. And Quinnen Williams needs to be here for his whole career. And I would give him I would like to see a 5-year contract, man. Give him 5 years, $20 million per, whatever it is that the defensive line is getting these days. But he is a leader, and I think that it's time. And we have to make this the example. You do what Quinnen does, you get what Quinnen got. You see what I mean? You get rewarded around here. That's the way. Last year, it was Berrios, to a lesser degree, of course, but Joe Douglas said you want to keep guys like Berrios around. You want to reward guys who do it like he does it, with the hard work and the commitment. You want to reward those guys. And he did that. Quinnen is going to get a little bit more than Berrios, but this is Joe Douglas's first real opportunity to keep one of his key players. He obviously extended JFM, so that was nice to see, but it's different. It's a whole different thing, man. Quinnen Williams is the man, and we need to use this and make this into an example. If he wants 22, and you gotta say, all right, look, man, I'll get to 21. Like, if that's what you figure out the million somewhere else, that's what you do. You make sure that this kid is paid. That's what I think. I love Quinnen Williams. He's my favorite player. He gets the contract, and I'm going to get me a Quinnen jersey. What do you think? Then I think I'm going to get a white one. I don't have a white jersey these days. Let's see what we got. So Matt's on fire today, huh? Well, Matt, you're all piss and vinegar today. He's pumped up. Hey, prove it to me, man, before I buy. I'm telling you, dude. But you know what? I'm with you there, bud. I really am. They got to prove it before you get all crazy. Now, look, as soon as it's free agency, we're going to be as excited as we always are. You know that. You know it. But as far as it's more about our internals, right? We can't put our soul on the line because then there's that deep disappointment. I don't know, man. You can't let it destroy you, you know? They were positive because they know they'll have a new quarterback next year. Maybe, Ryder. Ryder and Talon's pa, right? Those are your grandkids, if I remember correctly. I feel like we asked that. Maybe they're just your kids, but I think they were your grandkids, if I remember correctly. Let's see. We did that one. Let's see. Jerry the Jet checking in. There was a commentator that said Zach bulking up and adding 20 pounds messed up his throwing mechanic. Not sure if there's any. I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, he looked exactly the same as he did the year before. Messed it up. It looked the same. I mean, did that make him throw off his back foot? Did that make him run, in curly cues 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage? I mean, look, any change is going to have some impact, but I don't know. I think we're reaching with that one. That's my point. That's my side. And maybe I'm wrong. Harlan, what's up? Good morning, Harlan. Oh, he's talking to Matt. Matt's got everybody talking this morning. Matt's on fire. Matt's pumped up. Zach Wilson wasn't ready last year or this year, mechanics-wise, decision-making, and they've seen that in camp, and they put them out there anyway. It's the coach's fault. Yeah, Freedom House, I mean, there's an argument to be made for that. Again, yeah, maybe the first year. I think second year on a rookie court like you can't take someone with the second overall pick and not play him. You can't. Now, I was a fan. Same thing with Sammy. I was a fan of them staying. I'm old school, man. I remember the days. It was appropriate. It was very normal for a quarterback you drafted to sit, learn, relax. Why would we throw him? It's called throwing him to the wolves. That's what we called it when they had to start early. And it can definitely mess up your progression as far as your development, right? Like it definitely can. But look, the way that the NFL is tailored right now, Freedom House, sad to say, you do got to start them. You have to. You can't do it. Now, 1 year, at least half the year, right? You see that a lot of the time. Like maybe 8 games, 10 games. You let him sit, make sure he's good, and you put him in. You saw it with Kurt Warner, Eli Manning. You saw it with, Mahomes. Like, you see it. That's another way to do it. Again, I think this coaching staff, like we can't take, in my opinion, when you hire noobs, you guys that have never done this job before, all they know is what they've seen. So they've seen Kyle Shanahan do it. He's seen Pete Carroll do it. Obviously, that's who he has close proximity to. So he's going to try to emulate that to some degree. But the problem is that the scenarios are different. The market's different. Everything's different. So it doesn't always work that way. So it is of my belief that when you put huge decisions on the rookie guy and you go, he did the wrong thing, it's definitely his fault, so he needs to get fired. Right now, I'm not saying you're saying that, Freedom House, but just as a springboard for this comment, you have to. It's okay for him to make that mistake. It is. Now, maybe we wish we didn't. It would be great if he pulled a Sean McVay and just came out and seemed to know everything. That'd be great. But it didn't happen that way. So when he does make a mistake, you have to know that it's likely that that's going to happen when you hire rookies. It's like we all talk about the 2020 draft class, which, it was his first ever draft class. The positions, slam dunk on most of them. Not everyone. I hated the fucking James Morgan pick, and I didn't love the Ashton Davis pick. But, taking a big left tackle and a big wide receiver, that's what we needed. It was they were strong picks, but it's his first time ever doing it. If he makes mistakes, sure. Okay. He's definitely gotten better since then, has he not? Like, I love the people that still go, 2020. Yeah, no shit. Who cares? And those guys still, their careers aren't written. We don't know. You know what I mean? We don't know. A lot of them we know. But the thing is, like, when you look at this, yes, I think Robert Saleh botched it. That's what I think. I think the Greg Knapp situation knocked them for a loop, and they haven't really gotten back from it yet, although they've taken their swings. So I think it's going to be, look, they have to prove that they're learning. That's the thing. You have to prove that you are like learning from your mistakes. That's the key. If you can do that, great. If you can't, it's when you make the same mistakes over and over. That's when somebody's just stuck in their way. It's one of the things I don't like about LaFleur, dude. Like, he'll get a really good positive play, and then what does he do? He does that wide receiver screen to the left, throwing the ball 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It has not worked once, and he does it all the time. Those types of things, they got to sit down with LaFleur and say, hey, stop with that shit. R&R, we are close, and we have more superstars than we've had in a long time. It's not as bad as it feels. Thank you. Very well said. That's how I feel. We're all disappointed. I mean, nobody's going to put sugar on it. But I think, again, I've said it 100 times. I'll say it 100 more this offseason. I am of the belief that even if everything else was exactly the same injuries, same ups, same downs, if we had a quarterback that could hit 65% of their passes consistently all year, that's it. 64, 65%. And they had more touchdowns and interceptions, just normal NFL quarterbacking. If we got that, we are in the playoffs. I believe that. And of course, we're going to have things that we need to improve, and free safety, and maybe add a linebacker, and a defensive tackle, obviously the offensive line. But we would be talking, of course, we need to add those things. It's not like the bottom's falling out. If we had a quarter, now it's a big deal. But that's my feelings, man. I maintain that. I maintain it. I feel very strongly that that's the way. That's the truth. While I don't like lots of things I see, LaFleur, dude, this would be his last chance for me. Like, you have to learn from your mistakes. Ulbricht did. Did you see it? You see Ulbricht? Now, that's the thing I want to remind everybody, just so we can organize our feelings and thoughts, right? First 3 games of the season, let's say the first month of the season, 8 out of 10 Jets fans were 100% positive that Ulbricht needed to get fired, right? 100%. I know. I listened to you. I talked about it. I'm going to be real honest. I thought that it might need to go. I was like, I don't know, man. This guy doesn't look long for the NFL world. He doesn't look good. What happened? They learned from it on the defensive side of the ball. Dude, we haven't talked about Ulbricht in 2 months. Really. 2 months. They took a 31st overall unit last year, and they made them into a top 5 unit. Now, PFF has us number 1. I don't know. You know how I feel about PFF, but you have all these organizations that were top 5 over here. We're number 3 over there. We're number 7 over there. Doesn't like we're there, dude. The improvement is undeniable, and that's with the holes that we know are there. We know we don't have a ball hawking safety. We know that the turnovers didn't come the second half of the year. The first half of the year, dude, we had like 7 games with a turnover. The first time we've done that forever. Oh my God. All right, let's get to a couple comments here before we wrap this up for the morning. Jerry the Jet, if a team offers us a 3rd, 4th round pick for Zach, would you do it? Yes, I would. Absolutely. That's me. 3rd round pick, sure, take him. And I'd start fresh. You can keep Mike White as the backup. You know what I mean? You can bring in a youngster from the 4th, 5th round, undrafted free, somebody to develop. You always want to have a guy developing, in my opinion. But I don't know. Now, that said, I'm not necessarily looking for, I'd be fine if Zach is here, but I don't want Zach being the number 2. I just don't. I think he needs a year, dude. That's what I think. At least. Let's see. Phil Adams, what's up? Zach Wilson charmed the pants off too many scouts and coaches with his talking the talk. It's very, very true. And he had that smile, but he had the whole attitude, the charm thing going on. He was clearly going to be a major sell in the market. Good-looking young kid, screws mothers, the whole thing. Everybody likes that. But it was his arm, Phil. It was his arm. It was his mobility, And he has the arm and the legs. He has the work ethic. He has the intelligence, and he has the charm. The problem is he's never been tested his whole career. Really. Again, he was never under pressure. It was my number one concern. How the fuck can we feel this confident about a guy who's never been under pressure? You know he's going to be under pressure here. I don't know. Freedom. Oh, there. Yeah. You're in Wisconsin, man. Oh, nice. It's cold, I hear. Giants can get away with things New York Jets can't. I agree with that. Joe Smalls, he says, remember last year we wanted to fire Jeff Ulbrich for his defense. He flipped the switch this past year. Hopefully our offense can do the same. Well, that's the best point, man. Like we look at it, we have the example that we need. We felt strongly that Ulbrich needed to go. And by proxy, that Saleh needed to go because he's running Saleh's defense. You might still think Saleh needs to go. I don't. There's reasons. There's an argument to be made. But the Ulbrich thing, he learned. We completely removed that getting killed by the screen pass every game. We took it out of our lives. Took it out. Again, 31st, top 5. It's a huge, huge deal. Huge. So I'm with you, man. We got to remember that. We got to try to remember that. LaFool. Well, you got LaFool. Where is he? I think I saw him in here. There's our buddy Gitmo Bob has another one for. Let's see if he used it. There it is. I saw it. So Matthias says LaFool, and this one's been around a little bit more, Matt. Gitmo Bob's been saying this from pretty much day one. LaFraud. He's not a LaFleur fan, and LaFraud is the name that he uses. Game plans. What's up, Bob? Good to see you. Game plans that make no sense. Play calling that is inconsistent. Refusal to lean on the running to help the passing game. He needs a veteran assistant to help. Yeah, I agree. And again, there's an argument to be made for any of that. But when I watch the film, Bob, as much as I have probably, you've heard me, I say I'm live. I say it constantly, how much I hate what he's doing. But when I watch the film, there are so many plays that the play design worked and the quarterback's missing it. It's fucking crazy, man. At least a dozen a game. 10, at least. So let me get to, yes, Phil, I'm going to get to the poll results at the very end, right after this. Blade checking in. Thanks, Blade. He says, my vote is Rodgers, 2 years, $60 million, and Zach can sit and learn. I believe he has an out in his contract. If not, what would you give? A 2? One last Super Bowl. Yeah, well, the thing is with Rodgers is that he already has a contract, right? So it's not like he's just a free agent. He would have to be willing to rip up that contract. I don't know if he's gonna. Maybe he is. Maybe he just says, dude, I don't care. Just rip up the contract. I'll go down there. Let me be a free agent. You rip up the contract and I can be a free agent and you're not on the hook. Maybe they do that. But you don't get anything for a trade. You know what I mean? I don't want to be hamstrung. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, Blade. I'll tell you what. If they figured out a way to make it doable, I don't want to give him $40-50 million, man, because then you lose all. You can't build on that. I don't know why we're paying guys that much money, man. Like, it's crazy to me. I don't want to see that 50, 45. I don't want to see that. But get him for 30, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is. I don't know, but if they can figure out the way to make that work, I'm fine with Aaron Rodgers. And you put all your resources, man, into offensive line, get him another skill guy. If you let Corey Davis walk or whatever, even you can keep Corey Davis. He's $11 million, man. You know what I mean? I just think he's very inconsistent, but he does a lot for the team and they like him. He's very inconsistent, but he's very, very good when he's good. So let's say you have Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims, Garrett Wilson, Berrios, Ruckert, Conklin, Uzoma, Hall, Carter, Knight. You got all those guys with Aaron Rodgers and a stout offensive line. Now I'm telling you, you'll see a whole different thing. And Rodgers has been playing in essentially the same offense, very much so, for the last 4 years. So I don't know. I don't know. That's not the guy I think they want to go for because of the money thing and whatever you're going to have to give up to get him. The Packers aren't going to want to give anything up. I mean, they're not going to want to give him away. But the thing is, if they get rid of him, dude, they're on the hook for like $98 million. At minimum, it's $30 million dead cap. So, they have if maybe they are willing to rip it up for the money thing. I don't know. We're going to see. It's going to be interesting. But if that's the guy that we came away with, I would be very, very happy, guys. Very happy. Even though I think he's not the guy that he was, I still think Aaron Rodgers, where he is right now, is better than any quarterback we've ever had. Period. Always going to mention Namath, but still. All right, let's end this poll chat. Let's see what we got here. So we had which quarterback would you want out of that list? Of course, there's only 4 slots, so we got to pick. And we picked, it was Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy G, and Ryan Tannehill. So we have Derek Carr took the cake with 62%. Aaron Rodgers followed him with 21%. Jimmy G with 13%. Ryan Tannehill with 3%. Very interesting. Now, Ryan Tannehill's a name that's been coming up this week for me. I haven't really heard it much, but this week I've heard it. I got to be honest with you guys. If that's the guy that we go out and get, I'm going to be upset. Not that he couldn't be good enough to make this. I think that Tannehill this year, if we had Ryan Tannehill, I think we're in the playoffs. So I don't think that he's not good enough to be the average guy that we need, but this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity, man. If we're going to go that level, I'd much rather Minshew. That's me. I would. Minshew's got significantly more upside, in my opinion. He's only going into his 5th year. I don't know. I like it. Oh, look, Bob, Matt's adopting both now. If they're keeping LaFraud, LaFool, they will go with Jimmy G. I can't help but agree. I really do. I fear that that's the way they're going to go. And, dude, Jimmy G is going to get hurt week 3. With us, as a Jet, just our luck, dude. That's our luck. We go out there, we pay Jimmy G $32 million a year. He's going to play 3 games. He's going to get an ankle tweak, and then they're going to say only week to week, and he's going to be out 4 weeks, and he's going to come in and play 2 more games, hurt his knee, and then he's going to be out for the year. That's just what I see. And, dude, you got to, if you want to see what somebody's going to do, look at what they've always done. He's been injured his whole freaking career, dude. Okay? That's the problem with him. Let's take a look at here. Jimmy, before we go, we'll take a look at how many games he's played a year. Right. Well, I'll put it on I haven't looked. I don't. Oh, what the hell's going on? Come on. My fucking computer. I got to bring this thing in, man. It's not charging for some reason. It's almost dead. All right. I have not looked at this yet. I'm going off my memory, so maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Let's see here. Okay. So let's go to Pro Football Reference and see how many games he plays a year. All right. But that's 2022. So, okay. He played 10 games. All right. So his first couple of years he was in New England, he didn't play, right? He played 2 games his last year in New England. Goes to San Francisco. He starts 5 games. The next year he starts 3 games. Don't forget, these are because of injury. He had the 1 year, 16 games. So he played a full season. Then he was injured. He had 6 games. Then he played 15. So he only missed 2 this year. And then he missed 7 this year. So do you see it? So out of let's just say from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, he's had a full season once. And the next one, he only missed 2 games once. So 5 years, he was not available for you. You know what I mean? Is that what we want to put our eggs? That's the basket? Right, Horatio Hornblower. Right. And that's the thing with Tannehill. I think King Henry, dude, he makes it so. Look, when Henry went down in the playoffs a couple years ago, and it was on Tannehill, he couldn't do it. Now, last year, they when Henry went down, remember he came back for the playoffs, He did better. He did better. But I firmly believe, man, like Tannehill, he's old now. It's just like, I don't know, man. Tannehill's not it for me. He's just not. If that's what they do, that's what they do. I'll be rooting for it. But I don't know. I just think Derek Carr would be great. No, it doesn't. He plays in a West Coast system. He's played in four. He's had four completely new systems in his 9-year career. You got to remember that with Derek Carr. Like when we implement a new system, we use that as an excuse for why a quarterback sucks. We do it all the time. Oh, Sammy's on his third system in 3 years, and we do that all the time. Derek Carr's had 4 new systems, 4 new coaching staffs, and he's still throwing for $4,000. More 2-to-1 touchdowns to picks, 65% completion percent. Like, do you see it, man? Like, I think Derek Carr coming over here, you don't ask him to carry the team. You just ask him to be our quarterback. Dude, if that happens, we're going to be a playoff team. No questions asked, in my opinion. I know, right? He gets injured behind a good O-line. All right, guys. Well, listen. Ryan Rivera says he likes the Tannehill. I know. I just don't think I don't like Tannehill, and I'm not so sure. You can develop Zach all day. I just don't know with that. I don't know with him, man. I'd love to believe that he can be something, but what I've seen is literally some of the worst quarterback play I've ever seen. And we know bad quarterback play, and he's the worst. I cannot believe we got worse than Sam Darnold. I can't even fucking believe it. What do you mean? Dude, he's had 1 year. Dude, he threw for 4,800 yards last year, Hawk. Well, I don't know what, dude. McDaniels is not dude. He's only succeeded in New England, man, with Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Mac Jones was easy, it's fine, but it's like, dude, he went to Denver, completely destroyed the team. Like, it's not. Don't forget, Carr had to learn that new system. He's still, dude, if he just played the last 2 games, he's making 4,000 yards again. I don't know what this regression shit is. He threw for 4,800 yards the year before. That's almost 5,000 yards, guys. And before you start saying, oh, if yards are, yes, fucking yards are important, man. I don't even get that argument. Like, in order for a quarterback to be good, there's no quarterback that's great leading the team to Super Bowls every year, and he's throwing for 120 a game consistently. If you have the Ravens defense in 2000, maybe you can pull that off for you. But come on, dude. Let's look at Derek Carr. Real quick. Just real quick. Okay, do I still have this up here? Real quick. My buddy Hawk. I love Hawk. Let's see here. But I disagree. So, again, 2022, he was on par for 4,000 yards again. Okay. Now, this year, you can call this a down year. His down year, Hawk, with a new system, the whole thing, is still 61% completion percentage. Okay. 24 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. Like, dude, I'll take that. We haven't even seen 20 touchdown passes since Ryan Fitzpatrick, dude. And that's a down year. Look at the year before. This is with the Gruden stuff. Remember dude, that's enough to completely overturn a team. 68% completion percentage, 4,800 yards, 23 touchdowns, 14 picks. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, Hawk. You can say this was a down year for sure, but it's still 3,500 yards. We haven't even seen that. What the Ryan Fitzpatrick year, the great year, the record-breaking year. Let's see. Let's see what it was. I'm curious. I forget when he was on the New York Jets. So here it is. He had 3,900. Oh, so he almost made 4,000 for us. And he had a 59% completion percentage. So the record-breaking Ryan Fitzpatrick year for the New York Jets, when he had 31 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 3,900 yards, he only had a 59% or 59.6. So you can say 60% completion percentage. Still lower than Derek Carr's down year. Do you see it? That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying, guys. I just want what's there he is. What's up, Jake? Are you going on? I got to get off. If you're going, I'm on 10:11 anyway. I'm done. But there he is, the world-renowned Jake Assman, who somehow figured out how to have guests from the live stream on the show, and nobody does anything wrong. I don't know how he does that. I get the worst. All right, guys. Well, listen, let's take this off. Again, I'm all in for Derek Carr. What's going to be interesting to see what they do this year. I know Freedom House says, what is that? Fucking 4? That's literally like 3 seasons for us. 4,800 yards. It's crazy, man. All right, guys. So we are going to, and I want to remind you about Derek Carr. He's never had higher than the 20th defense. He's had terrible offensive lines. He has 4 different systems in his 9-year career. Okay. He's not the reason that they're losing. He's had, dude, what was it last year? I think they had like numerous 30-point plus games and they still lose. Like it's just, dude, you got to look at the whole story. Like, we're cherry picking. When you find things wrong with Derek Carr for the New York Jets, you are cherry picking. Oh, the cold weather. Oh my God. If that's the issue, he's a warm weather quarterback. He plays like 1 cold weather game a year. Of course it's going to be weird. Let him play in the cold. He'll get used to it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think we're cherry picking. All right, guys, that all said, you are the best. We're going to have a fun off season, to be sure. I know we are. And we're going to, I wanted to remind you guys before I leave, 1 week. So next Monday, we start the Monday night 10 o'clock mock, guys. It's going to be great. I got some guests lined up to help us out. Now, don't forget, the 10 o'clock mock is the best mock. I'll tell you why. Because we do a themed mock. We create a scenario. What I do is I put it out on Twitter and on the YouTube community. I give you some options. Do we want to trade back? Do we want to do this? And we decide what the scenario is. And then we govern the draft as if that's what's happening. So let's say we trade the first round pick for Derek Carr, whatever. So we go into the draft without a first round pick, but we have a quarterback. What do we do? So we do that every week. It's different. And that's what makes it so friggin' fun. And I can't wait to get started. That is this coming Monday. So tonight, after the Talking Jets panel at 8 o'clock on Jets Talk 24/7 with O'Leary, Ryan, and myself, we will be doing the final after hours Jets Fest until mock season is over. Okay. So we will take the Tuesday night show. We're going to kill it. Tonight's the last one at 10:30. We're going to move it over to Monday nights, 10 o'clock. We do this every year and we're going to have ourselves a blast. I hope to see you all there. Guys, I know. What is this 19 likes bullshit? Help me out. Don't forget to support the channel any way that you can. You can become a beanbagger with the link in the description. Oh, tomorrow we are breaking down all 22 film with Dom C for the beanbaggers. We got some real good, fun stuff to look at. And this is going into our positional breakdowns that we do all month. The beanbagger thing is great. You can get in there with the link in the description, or you can very simply just join the Stream Beaners and get some fun stuff for the live streams. Guys, I appreciate you. Awesome, Hawk. I know, man. Hawk's a regular. There. We're going to have a good time. And everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. What am I leaving you with here today? Let's do this one, because I'm on a Gastineau kick with episode 99 of the Jets pod that is out now. You can see my positional breakdown of Mark Gastineau's career at the beginning of that. Guys, have a great day. I'll see you later tonight for the Talking Jets panel.
And don't forget, we got to get Joe Klecko in the Hall of Fame this year. This is his best chance to get in, and we are going to help him. Mark Gastineau, as we know, got 22 sacks in 1984. 22 sacks. No one has eclipsed that. No one has touched it. And then Michael Strahan comes along, and they were in the final game of the season, and it looked like he just wasn't going to do it. And what happens? Brett Favre, with very little time left in the game, rolls out to the right and just lays down. The tight end barely went to block him. It was as if they talked about in the huddle. Let's just give Strahan the record. He's earned it. It sure as heck looked like they planned it. He rolled out, laid in front of him, and Strahan went nuts. And the NFL acted as if things were all hunky-dory, like nothing was awry. No one cares. Just give away records, especially from a team and a man that don't have much. It's all we got, and you had to take it from us, man.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8.
Johnny Lamb Jones. Wide receiver. As a season ticket holder of the Jets, I'm going to fool Ken O'Brien of California Davis. Obviously, the Jets know something that, the people up there don't. Fullback. Hello. Roger Vick. Jeff Lageman. Jets just don't understand the dress all back. Blair Thomas. Running back. Penn State. Johnny Mitchell.
The New York Jets select tight end from Penn State, Kyle Brady. Vernon Golson. Cleveland traded the 5th pick to the New York Jets. And with the 5th pick in the 2009 NFL Draft, New York Jets select Mark Sanchez.
D. Milner. Dino Smith. Jets select quarterback Christian Hackenberg.
Sam Darnold. The New York Jets